Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video from Motors&Me. Today we have about 30 degrees outside and I'm already sweating like crazy. But as promised, today I'm gonna do a video on the Jeep. You might notice that I sound a bit weird today. Well, more weird than I usually do, but that's because I'm recovering from my cold. Not from COVID-19, it's just that I don't go well together with air conditioning and temperatures like these. So, for those of you who don't know, this is a 1967 Jeep Wagoneer. The last time it started was 2 years ago, and it ran for about 10 minutes. Before that, it's been sitting for 15 years. So, yeah. And there are quite a few things wrong with it. Like when I first tried to start it 2 years ago, it took me a whole battery of cranking before it actually ran. And the engine had little to no power. Like if I were to give it a little too much gas, the engine would just stall. Which led me to believe that there might be a problem with the fuel supply. But then I didn't think much of it. I just needed to drive it from one garage to the other. Then 2 years later, which is earlier this year, when I tried to start it again, it didn't start at all. Surprise, surprise. And when I checked the fuel pump, guess what? There was no fuel being pumped at all. And yes, for those of you who are saying, but did you check if there's some gas in the tank? Yes, there is gas. And so, one thing I'm planning on doing today is to install a electric fuel pump and bypass the mechanical one. But there's something else I would like to do. So earlier this year when I failed to start it, I did replace a few things. Like the spark plugs and the ignition coil. And then, just out of curiosity, I tried to turn over the engine by hand. I did, but then I noticed something else being wrong. And boy, was I scared at first. Now, allow me to demonstrate it to you. I hope you'll be able to hear it. Not this, that's just the fan blade being in the way. That clicking. That. You know what that is? That's the sound of a starter that doesn't disengage. It cranks and actually starts the car, but it just doesn't disengage. It keeps turning along with the flywheel. And so I bought a new starter motor, which is actually, if you compare the two, this is a spare of the original one, which just doesn't work, and this is the new one. It's smaller and it weighs about 5 kilos. This thing weighs about 10 kilos. Well, it might be a bit more than that. It's heavy and very difficult to install. So today I'll try to install the electric fuel pump and replace the starter motor. And who knows, maybe later this day we actually manage to start this thing. Probably not. I think I'll start with the starter motor because, you know, it's a starter. Get it? Oh, why do I keep doing this? Okay, so first of all, we'll have to take the old one off. There's my handy dandy light, a log there for whatever reason. And that one is there to catch the starter motor when it falls, because I'm not going to, because it's heavy. And there's also an oil spill. I don't know where that's from. But anyways, let's go. Okay. So that's the starter, blue thing. So let me just get the light. There we go. So it's currently held in by one bolt because I removed it previously and installed it back just for demonstration purposes so you can hear the sound that it's making when I turn over the engine. Anyway, there's the bolts. I'll have to remove it, of course. I think I'll need both of my hands for this. I'll set the camera down. Got my eyes already full of junk. Should have gotten some goggles. Ooh. You probably can't see anything, but that's fine. Is it coming off? Yeah, it is. Just use my finger, which is probably a bad idea. But anyways, any moment. Oh, there it is. That's the bolt and the starter. What's holding it? Oh, right, yeah. The power. That was the washer. What the heck? Oh, there it is. There we go. There we go. There we go. Oh, shoot. Whoa. Hey, I caught it actually. Oh, man. Oh. So, here we have the bad boy. And actually, when I first took it off not too long ago, I did some research on it. And it turns out that the appendix gear on this starter is actually from a different car. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it might be from a Ford. And it's different from the original one. Well, you might be saying, why not just use this appendix gear? Well, the teeth on this one are all chewed up. I don't know if you can see that. And I actually tried that, but it doesn't engage. It just makes that sound when I try to start it, so yeah. But for that, we have a new starter right here. And there's a problem, of course. These starters come with a solenoid in them already. But the solenoid for these starters is located right here. So basically, to make things quicker, I'm just gonna wire the power from this solenoid to the new one and basically have two solenoids. Just for now. I know there's no real benefit for having two solenoids, but it's just for now. Just to see if things work the way they're supposed to work. Alright, I have everything set up. Well, not yet, but more or less. Time to install the new starter. Hello everyone, and welcome back. This is actually a week after my first attempt to install the new starter. And yeah, the weather outside, it's pouring hard. Let me just close the garage door. Come on. Much better now. So, what happened? Well, I ran into a few problems. Two, to be precise. I paused the video last time so I can adjust the starter to make it fit. As you can see, it rotates. And as you can also see, there's a big hole that wasn't there previously. And I'll get to that in a moment. So after an hour of rotating it back and forth, I finally found the position where it fits. But right away, I found my first problem. Because the only way the motor would fit is somewhere in this position. And as you can see, there's absolutely no space for a bolt. That's one problem. And then, just out of curiosity, I took this ring bracket, or however you call it, off, and just wanted to see if it fits. So I put it on the engine, seems to fit perfectly, screw the bottom bolt in, which is this one, then the top bolt. And guess what? It doesn't fit. The bolt holes on the starter motor don't match the bolt holes on the engine. Yeah, so much for that then. I know I asked the seller whether or not this motor would fit a Jeep Wagoneer 1967 V8 327 Vigilante. Yes, it would, he said. But no, it doesn't. Well, some of you are probably saying, why not just return the item? Well, I could, but, well, the motor cost me around 200 euros. Shipping cost me somewhere around 90 euros, and customs another 90 euros. If I were to return it, that would be from 70 to another 90 euros. And just to get a 200 euros refund, I don't think it's worth it. Instead, I thought I'm gonna make this thing fit the engine. Well, and this is where I screwed up a little.
And so I brought this thing to a place in my town that does all sorts of metal works and asked them to drill a hole there. And yes, I know it compromises the structure, and that's also what the guys told me, that this thing might break off sooner or later. But anyways, I just wanted to see if this thing would fit. And also I asked them to carve some metal off so I can fit a bolt here. All seems good, right? Well, no. Actually, this thing goes the other way around. Can you notice the problem there? I told him to do the wrong side. And man, I felt so stupid. Jeez. Anyways, when I got there to pick this item up, I asked them, in case this breaks, can they make me a new one? I mean, the whole item, this ring or bracket or whatever. And they say, yeah, sure, no problem. But before I do that, I think I'm gonna try to do something else. This is actually the front part of the original starter motor. And it goes up like this. You can see there, these are both old and they don't work. So what I'm gonna try to do is make this thing fit this thing. And for that, I will probably have to cut this part off, the upper one, and somewhere around here. Will it work? Probably not. But since there might be a chance that it works, I think I'm gonna try.
Hey!
Oh, I know there are better ways of doing this, but you gotta work with what you have. Well, halfway through. Oh, well, 1 hour and a million breaks later, it's done. Well, the sawing part is done at least. Wow, look at all that metal dust. That's a lot. All right, this is starting to look pretty good after some minor adjustments. Now the last thing we'll need is, like on this one, drill holes, but I think 2 will be enough. Okay, so I started drilling those holes, got most of it done, but then I noticed that this upper hole for this to fit needs to be, I don't know, 9.5 or 10 millimeters wide. And the widest metal drill that I have is only 8 millimeters. Oh well, didn't think of that. And since it's getting dark, oh, it is dark, I'll have to wait till Monday, till the store is open, so I can get a bigger drill. Anyways, I guess that's it for today. See you in a bit. All right, it's day 3, and I thought I'm gonna finish on the first day. Right. So, got my 10 millimeter drill bit. Gonna use that to widen these holes, and then we can get to the fun part. I don't know. I think it's ready. Now I'll just have to bolt it on the starter, and I think we're good to go. Okay, looking good so far. Now let's bolt this thing on the engine and hope for the best. All right, got the starter motor on the engine. Now let's give this thing a shot. Oh, yeah, and we need a battery. Neutral. Fingers crossed. We have power. obviously something doesn't work the way it's supposed to. I don't know. I checked all the connections, everything's good. I guess the only thing I can do now is take the starter off and maybe we'll see something there. So, got the starter motor off, and after a quick look, I couldn't find anything. But after a closer inspection, I don't think the GoPro is gonna pick it up. But there are small dents on this little ring, which leads me to believe that the clicking sound was the Bendix gear hitting the flywheel. Great. Now what? After a quick thinking session, I noticed these little washers on the table, and they gave me an idea. I think I'm gonna put one or two of those washers right between here, and that'll make the Bendix gear tilted slightly away from the flywheel. Can it kill the Bendix gear? Probably. Can it chew up the teeth on the flywheel ring? Yeah, I guess. But to be honest, at this point, I have spent so many hours off screen on this thing that I'm willing to do basically everything to make that engine turn over by this starter. Okay, this is how it looks now. You can see the washer right here. There's a millimeter gap, I think. Now, let's put this thing on the engine and once again, hope for the best. Try number 2. Yes! Oh my god. I can't believe it actually worked. I spent like 4, maybe 5 weekends doing stuff on this Jeep. Well, mostly on the starter. Well, of course, I have plenty of stuff to do on the garden, so I didn't spend all weekends working on the Jeep, but still, I've probably eaten like a kilogram of 20-year-old dust and oil while working underneath it. Geez. Oh man, it feels so good. Well, now that that's done, well, sort of. I mean, it's just a temporary fix. I won't leave the washer in there forever. I will probably have to think of a better solution. But anyway, for now, it's gonna sit there. Next thing to do is the fuel pump. But I think for now I'm gonna end this video because I have a feeling that fuel pump is going to be a major pain in the back. But who cares? I love doing this stuff. Anyways, it's been a long 5 weeks. If you guys want to see more videos of this Jeep, be sure to like and subscribe. That will also help me out a lot. You can also browse my other videos if you wish to. But for now, thank you guys for watching and see you next time. Bye bye. Oh, I want to crank it again. Oh, yes.